In March, the Oregon Employment Department rolled out a new online claim system called Francis Online. Things haven't worked out the way they hoped. Thousands of Oregonians seeking unemployment or paid leave benefits have had trouble navigating the system, getting anybody to answer their questions over the phone, and experience long delays in getting paid. Our KOIN 6 reporter Ariel Salk spoke with several people affected, including Lori Boyce, whose husband was still waiting for his unemployment check a month after Francis went live and was worried about paying the mortgage.
Are we ever going to get any money? Are we going to get the money when he's dead and gone?
Jesse Sweetman tried to arrange paid leave before having surgery for a brain tumor.
Started calling and waiting and calling and waiting and just continuing to do that. And finally I get to the point where I'm in the hospital for surgery.
So what's being done about this? David Gerstenfeld is director of the Oregon Employment Department. Thanks for being on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Happy to be here, Ken.
Well, earlier this month, we asked Governor Kotek about these issues with OED, and here's what she had to say.
It is one of those things that I've been really not happy about. What I've said to the agency is we have to do better. I don't want to read any more stories about someone who can't pay the rent is going to lose their housing. That would be counterintuitive to what we're trying to achieve.
Now, was this a problem with Francis Online itself or with people trying to access the online website, not being able to figure it out and going to the phones instead, which overwhelmed you?
Well, certainly it's a lot of people going to the phones and kind of overwhelming the system. There's really two things that we need to be able to serve the public, and one is having the right tools. And that's why we modernized our systems and rolled out Francis Online. And we're actually seeing that it is the right set of tools. We've been able to make quick adjustments. It's much more agile. It's much better for the public than the old system. It does take some time for everybody to adjust to it, and there are some growing pains as that happens. It was partially those growing pains as people get used to a new system, and that causes people to call us. The other key thing that we need besides the tools are enough people. And unfortunately, the Employment Department has been underfunded for decades. We have been talking about that for a long time. Fortunately, the legislature and Governor Kotek passed legislation that we will be getting some additional funding. But during this transition time, we had tens of thousands of people a week that reach out to us, and most of them are in a really difficult situation. They've lost their job, they're facing some sort of medical situation. If they can't get through right away, they're understandably concerned. And when all those people started calling, and for instance with unemployment insurance, where we've lost 2/3 of our workforce over the past couple of years, we simply didn't have the capacity to answer those calls quickly enough.
Why weren't you able to anticipate these problems before it went live?
So we did anticipate this. It's always difficult to predict exactly what's going to happen. We did a lot of testing with the system. We did focus groups with members of the public to have them help us create the system for how it works. It really is massive, and when we went live, we have about 30,000 people a week that file benefits. So you run into people with different sets of computer experience that are in different circumstances, and the programs are pretty complex, so there's a lot of variables. We hired about 40 additional people to help answer easy questions, to help people through the process of getting into the new system, and that simply wasn't enough. And part of the reason that we couldn't have more is because we have those decades of underfunding. We were working with the legislature, as I mentioned, to get additional staff. That legislation passed in February. It's effective coming up in early June. We're already hiring, but that really isn't enough time to have hired 60, 70 more people, have them trained and proficient to help people through the process.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, the department put out a lengthy update on this situation. Online users are up 94% now. Benefits paid out $111 million. Weekly claims have leveled off to, as you mentioned, about 30,000. You're boosting staffing, you're handling the volume, increasing overtime, using staff from other agencies, and you are counting on those funds from the legislature to help alleviate the problem. So where do we stand now, and will those steps solve this problem?
I believe that they will. I am very confident that these steps will help the problem a lot. The additional staff, we have a lot of very dedicated people, and they just can't handle the volume. So the additional people that we're already hiring and training will make a huge difference. The other thing that we're seeing is our own employees getting used to the system, and they've done that incredibly quickly. So they're more proficient, they're able to get through the work quicker. And the public who's using the system also has gotten used to it. We're also able to make a lot of adjustments to the system. So we're able to see where people are having challenges, and we're already seeing that improve that the usability for the public to where we're more efficient, we're getting caught up more quickly. It will take some time, and the reason I'm not giving you a definite answer on whether it's enough is because we do have really high expectations for customer service. And what I'm committed to is we're going to share how we're doing with getting payments out more quickly to people that are eligible. And if once we make more improvements and these new employees are up and trained and proficient, if we're not yet to the point where we want to be for customer service, that's something that we'll be sharing. We'll be talking to the legislature. I'm confident that there will be big improvements over the next several months, but I can't say yet with certainty whether it will get us all the way to where we want to go. I know that it will be much better. We're already starting to see some improvements.
So where do we stand now in terms of addressing these kind of problems that we've outlined?
So we're doing a bunch of different things, as you mentioned. Besides hiring the staff and getting them trained, one of the things that we're excited about the new technology is we have a lot more information that we can see about how it works for the public. So before, if somebody was having a challenge, we really had to wait for them to tell us, I was trying to use your system, here's the problem that I was having. We can actually see how long it's taking people to do different parts of the process. We've been able to look at that, identify the difficult parts, and go in and make adjustments. So we've done a lot of that. We are paying out between about $13 and $15 million a week in unemployment benefits. So that's a huge amount of money going out to support tens of thousands of people every week. For many people, they're getting their benefits quickly, within 1 week, within 2 weeks of their first claim. There are some people that you've pointed out that have to wait longer than we want, and certainly longer than they want, and that's what we're focused on. The group, how many people are having to wait longer, we're committed to getting fewer people having to wait and to shortening that wait time.
So at this point, you're still working through these issues with the system. What do you tell people who are still having trouble either navigating Francis online or getting responses when they try to call somebody at the employment department and figure out what's going on?
Sure, and the key thing that I would tell them is we are very sorry for that. For the many people that can get through, we're answering thousands of calls a week. Close to half of them, people are waiting less than 5 minutes for us to answer. So we are answering a lot of calls. We're answering a lot of them very quickly. Our advice to people is to look at the system. They can send us messages, web messages through Francis Online, and that's something that lets us respond. It lets us look at the issue that they're having before we call them back, so that can sometimes be more efficient. And it's more convenient for people who are able to do that because they don't have to wait on the phone for somebody to answer. We're really focused on making the system more customer friendly so that fewer people need to call us. And I think that's one of the key things that we've been able to see is that a lot of the people that are calling to find out what's the status of my claim. So we've heard that. We're updating the amount of information that people can see about the status of their claim so that fewer people have to call us. We are starting to see the phone wait times start to increase. It probably isn't noticeable to people that are still having to wait too long, but we are seeing real impacts, and our best advice to people is to look carefully at the messages that they do get, because sometimes we'll be telling people, here's the piece of information that we need. Here's what you need to do so that we can complete the work on your claim and either get you benefits. And unfortunately, not everybody is eligible for benefits. So in that case, we want to be able to let them know as soon as possible. But it's really looking for that information, and we do encourage people to use that web messaging, which can be more convenient for them and more efficient for us.
So there is light at the end of this tunnel.
There is, and I want to be clear, we are committed to getting to the end of the tunnel. We know that for people that are waiting, it's really difficult. And our employees are really focused on getting them responses absolutely as quickly as we can.
David Gerstenfeld, thank you for joining me on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you, Ken.